Hello everyone. In my last video, I made a backtest on the London Breakout system on GBP/JPY, and in this video, I will show you how you can code a trading bot which will trade on the MetaTrader 5 platform. So here's a quick summary of the London Breakout setup. So first, we have to define the upper range and the low range of the Asian session, and if price breaks out of this range, this would be our entry signal. In this case, we would buy, and for our exit signal, we would exit in the middle of the Asian range, or we hold the trade until the end of the European session. So it would be right here. So we are now in our PyCharm IDE, where we'll code the trading bot in Python. And once we're done with coding the bot, I will then show you how we can deploy the bot in MetaTrader 5, where we can place some trades. So let's just quickly recap the rules. So if the M15 candle breaks above the high or low of the Asian session, that will be our entry signal. We will set a stop loss in the middle of the Asian range, and we will close the trades at the end of the EU session. So what we will need for this trading bot is to import some libraries. And here we have MetaTrader 5 imported, which will connect to the platform. Then we will use pandas, datetime, to work with the data, and then I imported time, where we'll use a sleep function to iterate over the signals periodically. Of course, you will also need a trading account to run the bot, and in this case you can, for example, sign up with IC Markets, which is a broker who provides the MetaTrader 5 platform. You can find the link for sign up in the YouTube description. So once you're done with the sign up and the creation of the account, you can then enter the login, the password, and the server of your account. And you will need that to initialize the platform and then log in once this is done. Once you're done with setting up your trading account, we can then focus on the trading logic of the algo. And here I specified the symbol to be GBP/JPY and the volume to be 0.01 lots. Then I created a while loop where we'll define our entry and exit logic, and we will check every second if any of those conditions are met. So the first condition to enter into a trade is to check if there is a breakout of the session high and session low. So first, what we'll have to do is to write the function that will return the high and low of the current Asian session. So we can go up here and write define get session high low, and in here we have to specify the start and end date time of the candles that we want to retrieve. So for the Asian session, we go from midnight to 8 AM. So our start date time would be equal to, so we take our current date time and we would simply replace our value to be 0. Then we also set the minute value to 0, and we proceed and so on to seconds and also microseconds. Also, it's very important to specify the time zone. So I also have to include the time zone info is equal to, and for this I will also need to import the PyTZ library to specify the time zone. So import PyTZ, and here I can simply write pytz.timezone and specify it to UTC in order to retrieve the correct candles. For the end date time, it is very similar. So we can here create end date time, and here we would just replace our with the value 8, as this would be the end of the Asian session. Once this is done, we can then retrieve the bars from MetaTrader 5. So the rates, or basically the OHLC data, is equal to MT5, and the function to retrieve the candlestick data is copy rates range. And for this, we would require the symbol. So in this case, it will be GBP/JPY. So I will simply specify it as an input of the function. So it would be symbol. The time frame for the rates would be M15, and I can specify that using MT5.timeframe underscore M15. And then to get the start and end date time for all the candles is I can simply add this into this interval. So once this is done, we have the rates, and what we can also do is we will convert that to pandas data frame. So rates underscore df is equal to pandas dot data frame, and then we pass in the rates that MT5 returns. Also, we will want to convert rates as the MT5 returns timestamp, so we will convert that to datetime, pd.to datetime, and pass in this current column, which is the current timestamp, and we set unit equal to this. So we can now test this, and when we run the function, let's just print rates time, or just the rates df. I'm sorry, I forgot to specify df here and df here. And to get the session high and the session low, we simply take our data frame, check the high candles, and for a session high we just need to calculate the maximum value, and for a session low we take our rates df, take the low column, and to get the minimum of the session we simply have to get the minimum value. So our function is now done. Now we only have to return the values, so we will return session high and session low. So what we can do now is we can run the function and see if it works. So one little correction, the parameter for the replace is microsecond without the s, and let's now test the function. So in our trading logic, we can simply create the variables session high and session low, and then we can call the function that we just created, which is get session high low, and here we would simply input our input parameter, which is symbol, and in this case it would be GBP/JPY, which is right here. And then let's also print the session high and session low. So session high and now also print session low. So let's run this and see what will happen. Alright, so here we have an attribute error that datetime.time has no attribute sleep, and that is because we only imported sleep from time. So let's quickly delete time dot, and now it should work. And now you see that we have successfully retrieved the OHLC data for the M15 candles from 0 to 8 AM, and we also have calculated the maximum and minimum values for these candles. As you see, we have the data frame being printed multiple times as we are running on the loop, right? So we run this entire code logic every 1 second, so we can check every second if this value or this value has been breached. Now that we are able to retrieve the session high and session low on the M15 time frame, we can now delete this, as we don't have to worry about that anymore. And in order to check whether the session high low has been breached, we have to check the current candle open on the M15 time frame. So what we will have to do is we will have to create a new function that will get our last candle open. And how we can do that is we can simply create a new function, and let's call it define get current candle open. And here we can also add the symbol as the input parameter. And to get the current candle open is we can simply call this variable current open is equal to, and we can call the MT5 function copy rates from pos, which stands for position, and we want to retrieve the value for the symbol is specified, in this case GPY. We want to retrieve the candle for the M15 time frame, so we can specify time frame underscore M15. This value represents the position from which we want to retrieve it, so it would be the first current candle, and then this value specifies how many candles we want. So we just want the first candle, so we just set it to 1. And here the candle will return a tuple, so we can simply return the output of this function, and then we can just say that we want to have the first value in the tuple, and this one would be the current open of the candle. So let's now run this function in our main loop and see what happens. So current open is equal to, let's call our function, add our symbol, and let's print current open. So let's now run this and see what happens. Right, so as you can see, now we get the session high, session low, and current open. Now we see that the current open is above the session high. However, right now it's quite late, so we will also need to implement some time check if we are trading within the allowed trading hours. So based on our rules of the London breakout system, we can open a trade if it's between 8 AM and 12. So we can write this logic: if time is greater than, so here we would specify it's 8 AM. So if the current time, which is daytime.now, then we convert this value to time, so it's within the allowed range between 8 and 12, then we can trade. Also, for this strategy, we want to make sure that no positions open, otherwise we might open infinite amount of positions. So we would add and mt5 dot positions total is equal to 0. So this is just a very important safety condition. And now we have to differentiate if it's a buy or a sell signal. So if our current open is greater than our session high, then we want to buy. So for now I will just print buy, and we'll replace that with a buy function once we get to that. And for sell orders, so else if current open is less than our session low, then we will want to sell. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to import the function that I wrote myself to open a trade in MetaTrader 5, and we will implement that, replace the print statements with this function. So let's put that function up here, and here I created a function called market order, which takes symbol, volume, order type as parameters. You can also specify the stop loss there, and I called the strategy name London Breakout. So this market order can process two types of orders, which is buy and sell. Here we have a certain price dictionary, which is able to extract the current market price from the symbol we want to trade. And to send the trade to MetaTrader 5, we need to create this request dictionary. And this dictionary has these fields that you have to specify. So for action, we have MT5.trade action deal, which means we want to open a transaction. Then you specify symbol, the volume, the order type if it's buy or sell, for which price you want to open that, and you can also specify the stop loss and take profit. In this case, our take profit shouldn't be there, so I say to 0. Then we have some deviation, which is the maximum allowed slippage for the strategy, the magic number, which is a number identifier for your trade. Here's a strategy name, which is the London Breakout. Then this is the time in force, which is GTC, good till cancelled. And we also have type filling, which is IOC, which stands for immediate or cancel. Some brokers, they don't allow IOC. So if this doesn't work for you, then try the fill or kill, which some other brokers support. So once you have specified this dictionary, we can call the MT5 function order sent, pass in this request dictionary, and it will open the trade for you. So now that our function has been created, we can replace our prints with buy and sell and replace them by calling the market order function. So for buy, it would look something like this, where we call market order, specify GBP, JPY. In this case, actually, I can just add a symbol which is specified up here. The volume is specified to 0.01. It will be a buy order. And as you can see, we also forgot to calculate the stop loss. So let's now just fill this logic for the sell order, and then we'll get to calculating the stop loss. So in this case, we will specify sell. As mentioned in the rules, the stop loss is set in the middle of the current range of the Asian session. So we can simply calculate the stop loss by taking the current session high. And then we would subtract half of the range of our sessions. So we would take session high minus session low, and then we would divide this value by 2, which would then be the middle of our session. So now our stop loss has been defined as well. Now that our entry logic has been implemented, we can now implement the exit strategy. So partially we already implemented the stop loss as our exit strategy, but we also want to exit the trade before the end of the European session. And in my case, I would like to close all positions after 4 p.m. So if date time dot now, and then we would check the time, is greater than 1600, then I would like to close my positions. So here I would now print close positions, and now we have to replace this part with a function that will send an order to MT5 to close those positions. Again, I'm going to import some functions to help us close those positions. So the first function I'm going to import is called close position. So let's go here below market order, and below here let's copy paste the function here. And this function here is very similar to market order, but in this case we want to close a position, and the only difference here is that we have to provide the position ID of the ticket. So if we can provide the position ID, the position will then be closed. And to retrieve the position IDs, I have a second function which is called close all positions, and this will iterate through all open positions in MT5 and then pass them into the close position function to close them. So here we also are able to specify if we want to close only buy position or sell positions, or we can also specify if we want to close all positions. So this you can check in detail yourself, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this close all positions function, and I will call this in this section here. So if we add it here and add the parameter all, then all positions on my platform will be closed. Also, please make sure that for close all positions, I specify the magic 15, which means that it will only close trades which have this identifier 15. If you don't provide this, you might close all of your positions, so please be careful. Alright, so now all the trade conditions are implemented. Let me just clean it up here. We can add the exit condition here in this trade exit block. And now if we run this strategy, we can now deploy it in MetaTrader 5. So to run your bot, all you have to do is run the script in Python on its own. You can run it from your terminal, or you can also run it within MT5. So to do that, you can open your data folder. And now this should open. If you go to MQL5 and then go to experts, you can add your script here. As you can see, I added the London Breakout bot in this folder. And if we open the scripts and go to expert advisors, here you will see the London Breakout bot. So what we can do is we can attach this bot chart, and here this little Python icon should appear in the chart, which should now be running. So if we go to experts, we see that here it is printing out the logs that we're using for trading, and we see that the bot is running. Also, do not forget to enable algo trading by clicking on this icon here. And also you can do that if you press Ctrl+O, go to expert advisors, and you can enable algorithmic here. Also here, make sure that this here is disabled, so we can also use Python to trade here. This would be it for a video. Thank you very much for watching. Please don't forget that algorithm trading is very risky, so if you are going to use my code, please make sure to test on a demo account, as you are liable for your own losses. You can download my code on my website traderbuy.com. Please visit my links in the description for more information, and see you next time.